Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
Before you get it, baby, show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind. But you walk right past me
as I chew the last remnants, well, actually not the last, almost the last of my Honey Nut Cheerios. Although, guess who's in the house? I'm not going to bring them all on stage because it would be a bit overwhelming for all of you mere mortals. I got this for my anniversary on Monday. 3 of them. Guess who the other 2 are? Yep, Snap and Crackle. They're right over there, and they came with their own bowl of cereal. Love my toys, and I love my husband, kind of. Well, I love him, kind of. When I say kind of, because here's another thing he gave me, and I'm still trying to process how or what he was really trying to say to me. Look at this coaster. It says, "I'm sorry I slapped you. You didn't seem like you would ever stop talking, and I panicked." Here's when my grandmother, cute grandma, rest her soul, of all the unmitigated gall. Do you know how rare it is you have an opportunity to use that phrase? There you go. That's the bell of purpose. I ring it on purpose all through the entire hour because, wait for it, it's not just a gimmick. It's not a show prop. It is indeed an invitation. It's an opportunity to tune in and pick up some of this ooey gooey, chewy goodness known as truth. The truth has a ring to it, people. Just like that bell. Tune into it. You'll be glad you did. So happy Friday to you, TGIF. We're here. We made it to another work week. What are your plans for the weekend? I'd like to know. I'm actually headed to Michigan from Chicago on Saturday and spend the night. I'm going to visit my foster family number 22. Right. Going up there. I can't wait to see Pops and my 2 siblings, my foster brothers, Jeff and Brett. Looking forward to a fun weekend there. And Pops is making, are you ready? Lamb chops. Good. Yummy for my tummy. So, speaking of yummy, I'll be right back. The Cheerios are calling. So anyway, listen, great week today. A week we've had up till today. And today is a great way to round off a powerful week. I'm so excited about today, for real. I've never had this conversation before on here. And so we're gonna, but first, I'm gonna set it up by this. Remember the show Friends? I do too. And just so happens, hold on. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Take a look. This is kind of what we're talking about today. And I'm going to hit it right here.
I went through this with Ben and Carol. 1 cup of coffee won't affect your milk.
Just to be sure, I'm going to call Dr. Wiener.
Dr. Wiener.
Every time?
Trust me, I know this.
All right. I trust you.
Rachel, I can see you dialing. I don't understand why.
Shh, I'm on the phone. Dr. Wiener? It's so weird seeing Ross and Rachel with a baby. It's just so grown up.
Person named Wiener. God, that kills me.
Look at you all grown up.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know what? I am. You know, like I'd like to meet a nice, mature, commitment-minded lady. And looks aren't as important as.
Nah, she's got to be hot.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who's great? Sandy Pupak. Yeah. All right. Well, that rules out Lana Titweiler.
I went through this with Ben and Carol. 1 cup of coffee won't affect your milk.
I almost want to watch it again. It's that funny. But what is it really like if you're one of the people that has one of those names that people say they either go Titweiler? I mean, that is a good one. But what if your name is Bambi Lynn and people think, you know, da 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 da. Okay, I could get carried away. It's been known to happen, but it's not going to happen today. We're all about the name. And here comes a doozy down the hall. Ooh, hey, Bambi Lynn, come on in. Yes, I said Bambi Lynn. How are you, Bambi Lynn?
I am so good. How are you?
Good.
Have you tried those pumpkin spice Cheerios yet?
Yes.
Okay.
But Well, okay. I didn't give them a fair chance because I actually bought them from the dollar store.
Oh.
And I learned that lesson. Unless you want styrofoam, do not buy your cereal at the dollar store. I'm just saying. So anyway, yeah, Bambi Lynn, how are you?
I am so good. I'm so glad to be on your show today.
We're glad you're here. Oh, real quick, you guys, our goal today is to hit 1,100 viewers at one time, and that'll top what we did last Friday. We're at 688. Let's make it happen. Oh, wait, I got to put this on screen so you don't forget. Share right now with one other person, please. There you go. So now, first of all, let's just establish this. Get it out of the way. This is not a stage name. It's not some brand or something you're just doing to get attention. You've had this name, Bambi Lynn, since when?
Well, that would give you my age.
I know.
Oh.
Okay, we don't need since birth?
Since birth.
Okay, so before we get all up in it, because I'm ready for this one. I've been so excited. I put you on Friday on purpose, right? Because I knew it was a humdinger, right? So what I like to do, though, I have your bio, but I'm actually, I'll just say this. It's Bambi says this, you guys. She says it took her 32 years to accept this name, Bambi Lynn, that she was given at birth. But now she says her name with pride. And she's a mother of 6 adult children and 13 and counting grandchildren. And she said ever since her 7th grade teacher told her that she had a gift to write, she's never stopped. She's got a couple published books. We're going to talk to you about that today, Bambi, and many more to come. So we're going to get right to it. I like to dip out and give you, the guest, an opportunity to just pour into everyone out there watching. 690, let's go. And then I'll pop back in. So just speak from the heart. What's on your spirit today? And then I will come back at around 60. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Take it away. All you.
Well, thank you. The first thing that I wanted to say is, yes, I'm so glad to be on this show. And yes, my name is Bambi, and I do have 6 adult children, and I do have 13 grandchildren and counting. One thing that I wanted to say that I was thinking about it as I knew that I was going to be on this show, and I knew the show was talking about our stories. So I had read a quote about what a hero was. And this is what the definition of what they said a hero was. A hero is someone born into a world where they do not fit in. They are there summoned on a call for an adventure that they are reluctant to take. What is the adventure? The revolutionary transformation of yourself. The final goal is to find the magic potion that is the answer to the unlocking her. Then she comes home to the ordinary life transformed and shares her story of survival with others. I can't hear you.
Yeah, because I was grunting and I had to I thought it was about me, and then well, Marsha. Y'all know how it is. I'm kidding. But then hero became shero. So what's that all about? Do you serve women, or do you have a thing against us males?
No, I do not. It just so happens that that's my passion, is to allow women to tell their stories.
I know. See, but that's why I said that, because why is it for decades and hundreds of years, everything was always, except for like a boat. Oh, isn't she a good one? Look at that boat. Oh, she's a pretty one. They're called boats, she's. But usually, in hurricanes. But
yes.
Now men are named. But there was always, you know what I'm saying? And now heroes and sheroes. I mean, she goes. You see how I'm saying that, though? We were so used to it just being about men. Now that women do it. Hey, why'd you change that? Well, how do we know you didn't change it from she to he all the time? That's what I'm saying. So again, not just names. You're taking it a layer deeper too. You work with women, so it's more than just their name. It's their story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because your story, and your story, I believe your story does start with your name. Your story does start with knowing who you are, and not who the world says you are, but who you are from the foundations of time before you were even molded and created into your mother's womb. We were created for a destiny. We were created for a purpose. Just like Esther, in the Bible, when she says she was born for such a time as this. So there is no mistake that I was born for this moment, for this time, and on this broadcast, to tell my story, because stories are what bring us together. And the first greatest story for us to tell is the story of our names.
Uh-huh. Yes, absolutely true. So, okay. Have you ever heard the one about well, it's they took it further than it really was, but half of it was real. Have you ever heard about the twins, Ima and Yura?
No.
You haven't? I
No.
heard it in 7th grade.
But I do have identical twin boys. So
Well, hopefully you did not name. Well, your last name isn't Hogg. Their names were Ima and Yura Hogg. Okay, wait, but it wasn't. Then I found out it wasn't completely true, except for Ima. Ima Hogg, Hoggg. She's also known as the First Lady of Texas. She was born in someplace there, Mineola or something, in 1882. And she was the only daughter of 3 sons of the Texas then governor, Big Jim Hogg. So what would you say if you met Big Jim today and he says, "Oh, have you seen my daughter? Come on, come here, come to daddy. This is my daughter, Ima." Excuse me, Governor Hogg, did you just say your daughter's name is Ima? Now, what would you think about him? Do you think that's a cruel thing?
Well, I always thought that naming me Bambi was a cruel thing until I
Well,
found
that's
out
where we're headed.
Yes. So it just depends on what the world has one view of who you are, and God has another view of who you are.
Wait, before you go to God, I'm asking you.
I would ask the story. I would ask the meaning.
Girl, if you saw a guy hand somebody a baby and say, "This is my daughter, I'm a hog," something's going to go rushing through you. You're not going to sit there and go, "Oh, before I get to know you, can I talk about the story?" Yeah. You're going to go, what? What in the hell?
If you don't have already a name that is what the hell.
Well, but I'm saying hypothetically, Bambi, work with me here. It's supposed to be going somewhere. But I'm saying because not everybody has a name like that. So you've seen people's faces.
Oh, yeah.
They can't control it. It's not a poker face kind of thing. They may not be bad people. They're just shocked.
Yes.
So how does a person, this is where we were supposed to go. So I'm just going to try to get there anyway, y'all. Is this, how long did it take for you to not, well, you said not long ago in the big scheme of things, but as a kid, what was that like? Did you set you up for bullying? And how did you learn to get people to flip it? Because I think you did.
Yeah.
Where now it became a popular thing.
Yeah. I don't think that I got people. I don't think that I talked people into flipping it. I think that I flipped it.
Your personality, when they got to know you, that's what we're going.
I flipped it. And, and I thought about when you're talking about names, could you imagine living in the town called Intercourse right next to the Amish country?
Uh-huh.
So you're thinking Amish Intercourse doesn't fit.
Doesn't fit. Well, there are a lot of Amish, so they know a little something. I'm just saying. There's not immaculate conception going on those farms.
That is true.
Right.
So you don't know. So it doesn't, I think that every name, it depends on how you look at your name. I know a lot of people that even name, if they're even named a common name, may have a problem of why they were named that name. Yeah. But when you begin to take your journey and begin to be the conductor of your own life and the conductor of your own story, you begin to realize that there are reasons why you were named who you were.
Exactly. And we just want to clarify, it doesn't mean it has to be the sound or the meaning of the name. It could be who you were named after. There was, there's families like the people that have the last name Hitler, what they go through, because there's all kinds of things. I had 2 names. I was Larry Dixon until 11 years old. And then they walked in and said, "No, that was a fake name. You're not him. You're Lauren Harris." What? Right. And so that's an identity is a lot of the times it is based on your name, you know? So, okay, well, let's go to Bambi's mom.
Yes.
So were you, okay, if I'm sure I'm the first person to ever ask you this, but I'm going to go out there. Were you named after the cartoon character?
No, I was
And am I the
not.
first person to ask you that?
Oh my goodness. No, you're like, I don't know, like the 10th. No.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you had $1 for every time somebody asked you that.
Oh my goodness, I would be rich if I had $1 for every time somebody asked
Okay, what about
me
this?
anything.
Did you ever go through a phase in your life where people gave you presents that had Bambi on it?
No,
You didn't? You didn't have like a Bambi lunch pail or a Bambi sweater or anything?
no. We were
Oh,
an
that'd been the first.
extremely,
That'd have been my go-to.
yeah, we were an extremely poor family. I didn't start getting Bambi memorabilia until my oldest daughter got older and she started getting me things. Yeah, I never had anything to do with Bambi.
What about when you saw the movie?
I didn't see the movie until I was older. So
How can this be?
Yeah, I didn't
You're
see the
named
movie.
Bambi, and you didn't see the children's movie Bambi while you were a kid.
No, didn't see it while I was a kid.
Wow.
We weren't that kind of family. We were an extremely dysfunctional, hurting family. So there wasn't a whole lot
What
of.
does that mean? Talk about that.
It was just that my dad and my mom got married very young. They got married because my mother had gotten pregnant. My dad was an alcoholic, came from an alcoholic home. And he wasn't a nice alcoholic. He was a very mean alcoholic. So there was so much chaos in our home that I didn't even think about things like that of watching, TV programs or seeing Bambi.
Really?
I really didn't comprehend that my name was a deer until people started saying, "Where's Thumper?" That was the first thing that I realized. Oh, they're asking where Thumper is. And then I did see the movie, but I never correlated my name by that movie.
So when you were a kid, Bambi, who was it that made a bigger deal about the name? Probably adults. Not kids.
Kids in school were very mean.
Why? Why then?
I think first of all, we were a very poor family. So that became a bully thing. Then you have a name that is different. So like I didn't date in high school. I wasn't asked to the prom in high school. I wasn't asked to a homecoming. I didn't hold hands with a boyfriend in the school halls. I was very bullied because of my name. And then it's funny when Facebook came out, that people that bullied me and people that didn't want to date me or anything in high school, it's really funny that when Facebook came out, they would be texting me, "Oh, I really thought you were beautiful in high school, but I just couldn't date you because people would make fun of me." And you're like, okay, well, I'm not interested in you now.
Right. Oh, well, it's okay. How you doing? Want to get a coffee?
No, it doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, it was just very difficult. And people did ask, if my family, my brother's name is Thumper, things like that. That was the first kind of bullying that I had. And then it was just that people were just mean. And then as I got older, the comments became very provocative comments.
Guys, now let's say you're college age and a guy hears that, your name is Bambi. First thing they think is
an exotic dancer.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, it'd be more like, some rap song now.
Yeah, it would be.
And all that.
I wouldn't be able to keep up then.
Okay. So now we go to the young woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost, to me, that would feel like, I don't know, probably maybe even worse because it's actually your name than walking past a construction site and getting constant cat calls.
Absolutely.
Did it make you not want to dress sexy or like other girls your age could do? But if you had on the skirt or the top and your name was Bambi, it just further added insult to injury?
The funny thing is that people that have known me and people that have known me as an adult and in dating and stuff like that, the funny thing is that I was never called sexy. I was always called cute. That I always had a cute, way of me. I always had a cute face. I would, so I was never, and I would ask people, like, here I have a name, Bambi, which is according to people, it's a sexy name, but I never presented myself as sexy and I couldn't. So I was always very cute to people. People looked at me as very naive and very innocent. So it was just a kind of different contrast that you would think that I would be that kind of person, but I wasn't. I was just I was always very cute. And for a long time, I was very offended to the fact that I was very cute. that nobody thought that I was sexy.
So what about like wearing heels and things like that?
I did, because I grew up in a time that, of course it's stilettos, with jeans and,
Yeah.
I did that. But I tried really to try to be sexy. But I didn't.
Did you feel, Bambi, did you feel you were trying to live up to the name? Like, oh, you don't look like a stripper. What kind of name is that for an ordinary gal?
Absolutely. And I think that became my identity. As a teenager, 16, 17 years old, 15, 16, 17 years old, that became my identity. It became, if you think that I'm this way, then I better be this way.
Right.
It played a huge part in my life. I ended up in, back seats of people's cars that didn't love me, that didn't know me.
I was just going to go there. Did it seem like, guys wanted to, just because your name was Bambi, it meant that you were easy, or hey, you haven't gotten laid yet? Why don't you know about Bambi?
I think too, it also played a part in the lifestyle that I lived and the home life that I had.
Wait a minute.
You have to remember, my home was a very broken home. So you add that on top of being named Bambi, that broken little girl needed to find somebody to love her. And so I use that to try to find people to love me, never thinking that love had anything to do with back seats of cars.
So Bambi, when you talk about where the broken home and all that, so if we were in a suburban type setting, would people refer to where you live pretty much like the other side of the tracks? Is that what you're saying? Or are you talking about the brokenness inside with nobody got to see but you?
Yeah, my family was on the other side of the track. It's kind of like my grandmother lived on one side of the road and we lived on another. Our house was extremely poor looking, and you knew, that was a poor family. That you knew that the family that lived in that house, had no money. But my grandmother lived across the street, which hers was the big white house, on the corner, and ours was the broken, nasty home on the other side.
Okay, so when did you harness the power within your own story to now change the shuffle or the tempo?
Change the narrative. Well, I had become a Christian.
No, I didn't say change the narrative. Hold on.
Okay.
No, don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say change the narrative. I said the tempo, which means, were you moving fast? Were you moving slow? When did it get to the point where you felt like, okay, there, that's my jam. There it is. Turn that up. You know what I'm saying? You found, like Stella, your groove, not sexually based from this perspective, but I'm saying that place where you felt like, you know what? I love me. I don't care what other people say. What was it that cracked that egg wide open?
It took me quite a while until I was like 32 years old to finally accept my name. I had been married a couple times, been married a couple people that wouldn't even introduce me, in an audience, in a room, would never say my name.
So if your last name was Harrison, he'd go, "This is my wife, Mrs. Harrison."
He would just say, this is my wife, or he would never even introduce me.
Oh,
yeah.
And wait. And so, of course, you addressed this.
I did. I did.
How come you always, and what'd he say?
That's going into, the back and forth of the brokenness that I was in. I did marry a man that cheated on me a lot. And then I married another man that I was caught up in. I was a victim of domestic violence.
But why were they ashamed of your name, but they gave you theirs? Yeah. And you took theirs, and what is that? Who would ever think that would be such a big deal?
But I was willing to take their name because I was so broken with mine. And so my son had told me just recently, "Mom, you spent your whole life picking up the crumbs from the table and not realizing you belonged at the table." And so all of this was definitely the condition of my heart, and my name played a part in that, and my past and the brokenness of my past played such a part in who I was and who I married.
Yeah.
And so I thought I deserved that. Just like my son said, you thought all those crumbs on the floor was yours, when really you were supposed to be at the banqueting table, sitting amongst the kings and the queens. But you never realized that. And I didn't realize that until I was like 32 years old.
Okay, let's go to the faith-based part, because you're dying to get it in there. And I wanted you to, but I mean, you know, everything was about the name. So I don't want people to feel like we duped them. You see what I'm saying? Right. So, but I get where it ties in, because then that has a lot to do, or could have a lot to do, with the person's faith. Because when you go to church and everything, you know, he knows you by name. You have been named. They use that a lot.
They do.
So, right. So when you were finding your way within your religion, your faith, your walk, how did it feel when you hit those doctrinal, I guess I can say, if that's a word, like I just said, when you read it or you hear it from the pulpit about a name and you're sitting there hating your name? Who'd you blame it on then?
Oh, I definitely blamed it on God.
Talk about that piece.
Absolutely. I absolutely blamed it on God, because the Bible, you know, the Bible says that he knew you from the foundations of time, and he called you by name.
By name, that's what it says.
You know, so when you say that and you're like, well, why would you do this? And so that's what happened. When I was 32 years old, I went to the beach, and I had found out that it costs about $800 to change your name. Okay. And I was going to change my name to Janet.
Janet.
I was going to be Janet. That was
based on, I mean, well, you know what? Out of all the names, no, but why Janet? Since you get to change your name and it's so powerful, why Janet?
I have no idea why I wanted to change my name to Janet, but I had always thought I looked more like a Janet.
Oh,
so
damn it, Janet. That was from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay, so now I wouldn't want to be Janet, because then they would make fun of me that way too.
Rocky Horror Picture Show, right?
Yeah, dang it. So when I went to the beach that day, and I cried out to God, and I had it. I was done. I was done with the name. I was done with how people treated me. I was done about
done. You don't mean you were feeling? Are you talking suicidal ideologies?
I had tried to commit suicide when I was 16, and then I just didn't want to. I didn't know why people didn't like me. And
all stemming from the brokenness and the name.
And the name, all stemming from all of that, and the brokenness, and the way that people treated me. I always felt like I was second class to everybody. And so I really felt like I was second class to God, because you gave me a name that I couldn't even look up in a name book. You gave me a name that I couldn't even get a license plate, you know, for, you know, that you ride your bike on. You gave me a name that caused even more damage than what everything else had caused.
Right.
You know, being.
Couldn't you at least have gave me the name Janet?
Could you at least give me the name Janet, you know? And it really affected, that was a really core to what affected me, you know, besides the, you know, the men that I married, the abuse that I had gone through and things like that. So when I went to the beach, that's what I said to God. And I was pretty pissed. I had finally come to a point that I was ready to boil over, you know, because I wanted to know who I was. Who am I? And so I had told God, I had given him an ultimatum. And I said,
I did that once too.
Yeah, I said, God, I'm going to go back to the bookstore, and I'm going to find a book, a name book. And if my name's not in there tomorrow morning, I am changing my name to Janet. And so I got into my car and I went to the bookstore, and I took the books from the shelf, sat at the table. And I then realized, oh my goodness, I just gave God an ultimatum. You know, who in the world do I think I am, giving God an ultimatum? Like,
anybody smell sulfur? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, here's this burning.
Smell that?
Exactly.
Stop burning. Right.
So my first name is Bambi. My second name is Lynn. And so I looked up my name, and it transformed who I was. It transformed me at that very moment of realizing I wasn't who the world told me I was. I am who God says that I am. And my God named me from the foundations of time, and he called me forth, and he called me by name, and he called me Holy Child.
So what'd you find in the book?
My name means Holy Child.
Now, you had looked in other books.
I had, and I'd never seen my name.
Never
again.
seen it.
No.
And just so that we connect a little more, I know I feel your pain about the license plate thing.
Yeah.
Because every time we were on vacation and we stopped somewhere and they're turning the thing, air name but mine. Right. And I'm like, oh, and the romper room lady, if you're old enough to remember her, looking through the thing, calling out your name. I bet she never said Bambi.
No. So I then found my identity. I found that I was living who the world said I was.
Okay, but go back to that moment, because I doubt if it was like this. Here's the name book, and you open up, and then it glows, and your face is going, Bambi Lynn, da 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 da, and you just stood up and glided out.
Now,
what? Okay, take us. You were there. You look at it. You close the book, and what happens?
This is the book that I had.
That's the book you had?
This is the book.
The actual book.
Yep, this is the book that I looked at.
You closed the book.
And I opened up the book, and I sat, first of all, I sat in, it wasn't like silence, but I sat in reverence.
Oh, that's a good one.
It was like I sat in reverence, and I realized at that very moment that God did have my back. I realized
what did that feel like?
It felt like a big cloud was lifted off of me. It felt like a whole bunch of bricks that had been, put upon me and I was buried in. It felt like somebody was digging me out. I was finally mannered to people. I finally felt that.
It sounds like you're saying you found your faith through your name led you to your faith.
Absolutely. And I had been saved prior to that. But that was a revelation.
You've been saved, but you were still mad at God.
I was still mad at God.
Right. So that's like saying, I'm allergic to milk and you have a milk service.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right. It's like, you're not going to drink it. So what are you going to do with it? You're not going to ingest it, give it away. So what happened though? You got up from where you were. And here's why I like this. This is why I'm pushing this, Bambi. Because there are those definitive moments. And a lot of us, we walk right through those intersections. We rush through them. We don't even slow down or pump the brakes. But what I'm getting at, it's those moments we should never forget where you wake up a version of yourself and something happens in the course of that day. You never wake up that person again. Sometimes it's not so good, but most of the time, if we allow it, if we count it all, Joy, it's always good. You wake up a person you've never been, right? You wake up a person. So who was this new person? How did she start walking? Did she straighten her back and square her shoulders? How did people around you, could they tell something was different?
Oh, they absolutely could tell there something was different. And I never stopped telling that story either.
Talk about that.
I have told the story of my name. I mean, at least to 1,000, 2,000, whatever amount of people, because it was such a defining moment for me. It showed me that I wasn't a woman that somebody could beat up. I wasn't a woman that you could cheat on. I wasn't a woman, that you could call me trailer trash and dirty names. And I wasn't that woman. I was holy child. And so there was a defining moment in my life for that, because it brought the revelation of who I really was. It's like when you look at the story even of Jacob, in the Bible, his name meant schemer. And for him to have a purpose and for God to use him, God had to change his name. God changed Jacob from Jacob to Israel.
Oh, that happened a lot in the Bible. Saul
to Paul.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
Abram to Abraham.
Yeah. Sure.
So it gives you a boost.
So let's talk about that for a second, because I'm sure you've done your research. So how important do you think? Is there a frequency? Is there a spell, if you will, connected to a name? Because clearly, if God had to change people's names, it wasn't just because they wanted a shorter name or it don't sound pretty enough, doesn't have a ring to it. It was for some bigger purpose.
Absolutely.
So
and I look at my daughter, my first daughter, she was a teenage pregnancy, and I named her Amber Renee, which means little flame reborn. It was I named her that for a second chance, that when I look at her, she was my second chance. So I didn't give her a name that was a name that was going to be her identity, that she was a child of a teenage mom.
Yeah.
I gave her an identity to say that you were my second chance.
Have you ever, how people hang pictures like on walls going up stairways and stuff, or they have little collages of different times in a life, and here she is at 12, here she is at 15. When you look over the panorama of your photos of yourself through the years, can you see through your eyes now a difference in the Bambi before the book that day and the Bambi after? So pre and post
Absolutely.
Bambi.
I could see the brokenness, of the Bambi before. I could see my eyes that were, I had beautiful Bambi eyes, but I could see, the darkness and the story and the rejection within those eyes. Now I may go through things in my life. I may have things happen in my life, but I have a different perspective. I still walk with a skip. I still walk with my shoulders back. I still walk as a king's daughter, that I didn't.
How many years has it been?
You're going to give my age.
No, since the conversion.
I was 32, so over 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. A little over 20 years.
So, and was it, let me just ask, because inquiring minds, also known as nosy, want to know, because I have a feeling you're not talking about a shared custody agreement, an on-off or a Morse code type existence with this change. Why do I get the feeling there's been no break in it? It's not like you relapse back into the old Bambi way of thinking. Once you closed that book that day, that book was closed.
I did close it.
Wow, that's powerful.
But I had to get rid of residue though. I closed it, but there was still residue.
So a bathtub ring needed scrubbing.
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
what was it? What was it made out of?
I had to begin to stop telling those stories of the lies that were told to me throughout my life. And I had to get rid of those lies. I had to get rid of those lies of those people telling me, who I was.
So you changed the record.
I
took
changed
that one
the
off
narrative.
and put a new one on.
Absolutely. Changed the narrative that I was no longer ashamed.
Okay. So what about this? Because I had to do this too with my name. Seriously. I'm still estranged from the sister in the adoptive family who used to bring up Larry when she wanted to control me all these years later, because Larry was the one we rescued from the garbage. Literally, someone said that to me in that family. And then she did it right here in this very house. And I said, I told you, you don't have that power anymore. And there are boundaries. And there are repercussions when you don't respect the boundaries. And I haven't seen her since. Not to say that I've just heard God say in the last month, get ready because you're going to have to make amends. And he told me that if when the time came right, but if things didn't change, it's possible you're looking at her for the last time in this life. And so I just say that because I'm so interested in the work you do, because it has a thing in my life right now I'm dealing with because of a name. That's what triggered me, because she used it like a weapon against me. And I had never fought back, but this time I defended my territory.
Yeah.
Prayer of best, because I asked for that territory and God gave it to me. So now I found I had strength. So what do you say to people? What do you say to people about the importance of their name?
I tell them first to go on a journey and find out who they are, find out who they have been called, and then go on that journey. And then what I had to do is that I had to write down the lies that I had told myself because of what the world said my name was, and once I went step by step that I'm not ashamed. I have been blessed, pressed down, shaken, and running over, that God has blessed me. I am the daughter of the King. I am forgiven. I am beloved. But I had to go through all of that and cross out all the lies that were told about me. I'm not a trailer trash just because I have the name Bambi. I'm not a pole dancer just because I have the name Bambi. I'm not, people would say, I would walk into a room and people would call me a Jezebel. so that I had a Jezebel spirit, because I could go into a room and I could take over a room. And I began to start looking at that and saying, you know what? I may be able to take over a room, but I do that because God has given me that gift to be able to speak to people and to be able to give in life to them. But I took all of that and I took the crumbs that were on the table and I picked all those crumbs up off the table and I then sat at the table. But it took a long time. It took a journey to do that.
Well, why do you think this was the road for you? Why do you think this was what was chosen as your soul's mission, or you chose? Why do you think?
Because I just believe that people need to have life. I believe that people need to realize that they're the hero in their own stories.
Now, you've written a couple books, right?
I have. I've written, one is The Journey of Josephine, which is my story, which is the account of my life.
And it's supposed to be the journey of Janet? Who is Josephine? Girl, you got multiple personalities. I'd have figured it out. That's what's wrong here. You got multiple personalities. I'm kidding. Who is Josephine?
Josephine was a rag doll that I had when I was a little girl. And she was given to me as a Christmas present. And Josephine knew all my secrets and all of my pains and all of my tears. So I wrote a story and I used Josephine as my security blanket through my story. So she went on a journey with me to find me. And to have all the pieces of my life to be thrown down on the ground, and her and I picked up each piece. And as I looked at the box of the puzzle that was given to me, it wasn't the same box that I believed. It was a different box because God called me a masterpiece.
Wow.
So I wrote The Journey of Josephine, and then I wrote The Treasures of My Heart. And the treasures of my heart are stories that I had throughout the storms, because when you look at the storms of your life, if you sit back after the storm is over, you sit back and you see the treasures that came from the storm.
That washed ashore. Oh,
and
that's beautifully put, Bambi.
And you see all of these different things and all of, in the midst of the storm, after the storm's over, sometimes you see that rainbow. Well, that's a gift. Sometimes when you're in the midst of the storm, God brings you people into your life. He brings situations into your life. He brings activities in your life. He brings moments in your life for you to look at the moments instead of looking at the storm, because we all go through storms.
Yeah.
We all go through identity crisis. We all go through things that we have, just like I read about what a hero is. We all go through something that's going to create this hero within us. Yeah. And that was the journey.
So what do your grandkids call you?
My grandkids call me Nana. Because I was 40 years old when I had my first grandchild. And I believe 40, if anybody's turning 40, you're walking into the promised land. 40 is promised land living. And my first gift in the promised land was my grandson. My first grandson was born when I turned 40.
Awesome. Can I ask, have you ever been tempted? Because I just did it. Have you ever been tempted to just go on Facebook and see how many Bambis are there?
I did. I actually joined a group that said yes. The group is called Yes, My Real Name is Bambi. And there are 98 of us.
All over the world.
That are all over wherever. Yeah. And since the 1960s, there has been 6,842 of us that have been named Bambi at our birth.
Wasn't there a model name?
There was a dancer.
I'm thinking Barbie. Barbie Benton. Remember Barbie Benton?
Yes.
And that she probably went through it with a name like, well, that's Barb. But unless
there was a name, there was a dancer that was named Bambi.
That doesn't even fit. How could a dancer be named?
Swayze,
You mean
Patrick Swayze had a sister named Bambi, and his mother was a dancer, so of course she named her daughter
like
Bambi.
An exotic dancer?
No, his mom was an incredible dancer.
Like a regular trained dancer.
Yeah. So
wow.
Patrick Swayze has a sister named Bambi.
Wow. Robert says he remembers Barbie Benton. I remember her too. Yeah. So what else is it that you do? Because we're wrapping it up, and let's hit this one. When we look at healingthroughstories.com, what's waiting there for the folks that want to go over and take
stories that I have written and stories that other women have written. about their transformation, about the things that they have gone through, because I believe that the more that people tell their stories, whether you're male or female, I believe that there's healing in telling your story.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I believe that the more you tell your stories, when people have to realize that your story is somebody else's first aid kit. So from behind you, because we don't write our stories for ourselves. We write our stories for the people behind us. And so healing through stories is, I blog once a week, writing a story. This past week, I wrote a story of my story of domestic violence, since it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Nice. So let me ask you this. So we've heard you refer to your childhood and the home and everything as broken over and over, broken. So let's imagine that time in your life was like what it looks like when you see all the glass on the ground from a broken windshield. So we see that. So that was broken. How would you describe the world that Bambi lives in today? What's it made out of? Is it that same glass and it's just together? Is there a crack in it? What's it made out of today?
Well, of course, there's cracks in it because there's crack pots and everything,
Yeah.
you know. But those crack pots also has made me who I am today. I'm
That's
actually reading
the healing, the scars. Yeah.
I'm actually reading right now Viola Davis's her memoir, and you know, and she says the first thing is that Bambi, before that Bambi that I was, that Bambi survived. So the Bambi that I am today needs to realize that that little girl survived. And that little girl has become who I am today. That little girl has taken all those broken pieces of my life. And that little girl stands in front of the mirror, wears a cape and says, I'm the superhero of my own life. I don't need to, you know, wear the cape of, you know, Superwoman or Batman or Robin or whatever. I can wear my own cape because I am a superhero, because I survived my life. And in surviving my life and wearing that cape, now I go out and I show others
there you go,
that compassion, that empathy, and that love, that they can be transformed in who they are today.
Well, clearly you mean it, because we can feel it. Definitely. Thank you so much for that. Listen, everybody, there's also another road for all things Bambi Lynn, and it's on the screen now. That's her Facebook account. Listen, don't worry about all those letters and dashes. We're going to make it easy for you by taking both of these links and dropping them into your comment section immediately at the conclusion of today's broadcast, which is in just a minute here. So that will be there for you. So don't click over quite yet. So Bambi, last thing, any tips for people who are dealing with, it may not be a name, but it may be some type of a history or a story that is not theirs. Can you give them one tip? Here's your Jerry Springer moment. Give them a tip that you know will at least start them down the road to healing.
I think that the best thing you can do is to begin to start telling yourself another narrative. Don't believe the narrative that people have said to you. Believe the narrative of who you really are. Stand in the mirror, look at your reflection, become who you were always created to be. There's a passion and there's a desire, and there's something within inside of you that's ready to burst out. Some things have to be in the dark seeds in order for us to have this beautiful blossom of a bouquet. And it's okay. You have to go into a chrysalis in order to be transformed into the butterfly. You have to be stuck inside of the shell of an oyster in order to become out as a pearl. And it's okay to be okay in the darkest moments of your life, because those darkest moments are going to truly bring you to the light.
Yep. Sounds good to me. It's our story and we're sticking to it. Listen, I want to remind you all about this as we get out of here. To just, you just keep improving on everything. Every day, wake up and know that you are already great. Find an E and an R and take great to greater, bright to brighter, smart to smarter, nice to nicer, and bold to bolder. You'll be glad you did. Just like our good friend Bambi Lynn. Okay. So Bambi, continue your work. I think it's brilliant. And it's never about just one thing, you guys. So, it doesn't have to mean that it goes from bad to worse. That's that other shoe dropping shit. I don't believe in that. Listen, great can go to even better. It can go even higher. All you have to do is believe in something higher than yourself. Think about that and take that with you. Listen, I love you. I love your work. We hope you'll come back again sometime, Bambi Lynn. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you guys come back Monday morning, God willing. I'll be right here in this chair at 8 a.m. Central waiting for you on the front porch so that we can have another illuminated conversation every day next week like we did this week. Now get out there. Be the best version of yourself. Change your life and ease some suffering wherever you can. Dr. Lauren loves you. Don't let my screen door slam. And yes, I said I love you. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Sorry about that. I had to cuss. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. Have the best weekend ever. You hear? Bambi, great job. Bye,
Thank
everybody. Bye-bye.
Show me your soul.